こんばんはということですね。これまた謎のゲームをやっていくんですが、これ何のゲームなんだろうね。俺もわかんない。雰囲気で遊んでるから。
This is the story of a man named
ああ、始ま
Stanley.
った始まった。
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he
そ
pushed
んな
buttons.
過酷な労働あるか。
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order.
キーボードの否定じゃないか。
This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly
なるほ
for
ど。
this job. And Stanley was happy.
指示待ち人間。普通の人間だ
And
ったら
then
こん
one
な
day, something
仕
very
事は長
peculiar
続き
happened.
しないと思うんだが、
Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
はい、というわけでこんな前置きで始まるんですが、なんなんだこのゲームは。結
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
局ネバーエンディング
Stanley
ストーリーな
decided
んだ
to
ろう
go
か。
to the meeting room.
明
Perhaps
確
he
な
had
クリアがな
saved
い
a memo.
分岐の条件をいくつも満たして様々なエンディングを迎えていく、そういうゲームのように思え
No
る。
matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
俺前回どういう風に回ったっけな。なんかここを行くと会議新コンテンツ新コンテンツとは一体。いやちょっと行ってみてえけどな。新しいコンテンツって言ってんだから行ってみるか。
Oh, good. You noticed my sign.
新
Yes,
コンテン
I have
ツ。
something very exciting to show you.
なんだ新コンテンツってのは。あ、またそういう感じ？ロード入るんだ。ああ。おう。これまた乗ったらなんかあるかい？何もないのか。
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was
自分の指定かこれは。
and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
こんなゲームの2作目出してどうするんだ。こんなゲームって言っちゃ悪いよな。
Isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience built from the ground up. Why there are so many possibilities.
あれだよね。社屋も新しく作り直してみたいな。そういうことだよね。どこまでもメタフィクションでいくんだな。これそもそもあれだよね。何年も前のゲームのリメイクというかリマスターというか追加要素完全版みたいな、そういうものであるらしい。終わり分けしておらない、二度と。はあ。ようこそインベスターショーケース。インベスターとは何だ？
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra deluxe. What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
なるほど。進めばいいのか、このおっさんの言う通りに。あ、でもなんか社屋は綺麗じゃないか。インタラクトできるものはないけど。どうなって、これテレビスタジオかなんかなのか。あ、扉が閉じ込められたか。うん、ツイッターマークだ。これかい、あんたが見せたいのは。キャッチーであるのは確かだな。色もさ、目を引くしさ。赤色、赤と黒で。
I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
ちょっとなんか頭に入ってこねえな、この人の話。ああ、そっか。発表会見的なものなのか。そうだよね。イベントショーなんだ。スタンリーパラベル2を出すよっていう。あ、新コンテンツ。こっちはああ、なるほど。ちょっとバスの方行ってみるか。バスに乗ってみたら何かあるのではなかろうか。あ、インタラクトできない。乗れないのか、そもそも。しょうがないな。あ、かがしくんいらっしゃい。何をす
Here
る
we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
あ、このボタンはこのゲームをプレイしているプレイヤーの名前を言います。どういうこと、新しい。このゲームではあなたの名前を聞く。どういうこと、キーボードで入力しろってことか。それとも Steam のアカウントを音読されちゃうのかな。
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game.
どういうこと。
Isn't that wonderful?
そう言うほど最高でもないと思うがね。あとあれだね、機材のサイズが普通の人間のサイズよりでかく設定されてるのはどういうことなんだ。俺ああいう箱なんか見たことあるわ、スタジオで。これはパーフェクトボタンへの道。大きすぎ、小さすぎ、ちょうどいい。ちょうどいい。調べられない。このボタンは、例のボタンか。試してみて。Try it here.
Jim. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name,
なるほど。
whatever name
ま
that
だ
is. Here, let's have you roll
お試し版だからか。
Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim.
俺は今からジムのロールプレイをさせられるわけだ。
Seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim.
連邦のモビルスーツみたいな。
Watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim
真
right
のジム
now?
ですか。
If so, then please step forward and press the button.
じゃあまあジムになりきるか。
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
え
Oh, it hits even harder the second time. If
も
this
う
was
激しく押すよねっ
only
て
new
これもう
feature
あれ
of
だ
the
よね。
Stanley Parable 2, it
大
would
パン
still
に
be
近いよう
worth
な
the
パンチだ
money.
なこれな。
Let's take a break
大
from
パ
the
ンプッ
gym
シュでしょこんな
button.
ん。
I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much, Jim. I'm putting the gym button away.
え
Otherwise, soon
あ
you'll
あ
start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
あああ消えちゃった。ってこと物理法則ガンシカとして地面の中潜ってっちゃったけど、そういうのでいいんだ。開かない扉ばっか。これ押せねえしな、なんかな。何をさせられているんだ俺は。
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
なるほど。ジム専用スタンリーパラベル2。ザ・スタンリーパラベル2かっこジム専用みたいな。そういう施しをしなくちゃいけないみたいな。はいはい。レッドイズニューオレンジ。直訳的だよな、なんかな、表現が。よくわかんねえな。ジャンプサークル無限の穴。どういうこと？コレクターズアイテム。これ俺か。これ主人公だ。スタンリーだ。てかスタンリーパラベルなのに名前がジムってどういうことなんだ？これ俺これ言うほど俺似てる。あ
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them.
喧嘩売ってんの
I
か。
don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up.
ああ、なるほどね。
Simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with
そうい
your
うことか。
unremarkable life.
人間の本質的な。で、これを集めても何もない。1個。あ、終わったぞ。なるほど。じゃあ意味もないものを、意味のないものを6つ集めるとなんかあるんだろうが。困ったよな、このゲーム。謎解きゲームでもなければ、ただ指示されるままに動きまくるみたいな、そういうゲーム性なんで、まあ、だらだらと配信してやるにはちょうどいいかもな。まあ、需要があるかはともかく。ザ・フォールってあったから穴かと思ったんだが、穴はないのか。穴はないのか。
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down
だか
forever.
ら反重力的な
Infinite falling. You can fall until
無
the
限の穴。
end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
わあ、無限の穴だって。あれか？他には何もないのか。俺はこの落ち続けるゲームをやるのこれから。しょうがねえな、やるかじゃあ。
You see, isn't it wonderful?
素
One
晴
of
ら
my
しいよ。
more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now
まあ
then,
なんか
since you've
映
got
像
the
作
scene
品として見たらこういう落ち続ける演出ってのはなんか
to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
Y を押すと地上へ戻ります。あ、これ本当に
I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top.
A, B、
Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
すぐにでもやった方がいいと思います。いやでもなんか逆にこいつの指示に逆らってこうなんか
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to
落
say
ち
this,
続けるのもあり
but
かも
it's
しれん。
possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite
Eh?
nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole?
どういうこと？
To be certain it is. It's an
じゃあ無限では
extremely
ない
deep
と。
hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
Oh.
Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall?
いや、俺はなんか映像的に見ていて、なんか安心はできたけど。
Don't you put this on me? Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us?
水に合わせてこの際、ほぼ無限の穴と呼びましょうよ。まあそうだな、有限だったわけで。
If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
これ押さないで放置するとまたなんか分岐あんのかね。ありそうなんだよな。いや、このゲームのことだから、ない可能性もあり得る。マジでなもんないのか。マジか。じゃあ戻るか。
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the scene.
なるほどね。もう一回落ちてみるか。
Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes.
問題は穴が好きすぎたんですよ。普通じゃない。お、無限だ。なるほど。
Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of...
なんかさっきより短いじゃないか。
Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there.
まあ見るからに短くなってたけど。
Admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled.
なるほど。
I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about.
ていうかこのおっさんずっと喋ってるからな。なんかいろんなもの見せたいって言うけど、俺が喋る隙がなくなるんだよ。もう一回落ちてやろうか。
Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where...
さっきより短くなってるじゃないか。
Okay, yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something.
何をやらされるんだ。
Let's pop back up to the top.
いくらか短くなっているかどうか見てみましょう。なるほど。だんだんと短くなると。おい、入れなくなってるじゃないか。
How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch.
このゲームジャンプがねえから、
Who am I to judge?
この段差からもう戻れなくなっちゃう。
Whatever it is
これはまずいな。
to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
はい。OK です。準備 OK です。
Is the
ああ、くそうぜこいつ。
teleport button not working?
ああ、うっぜこいつ。
You sure?
マジ
Well,
で
I。mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again.
はい。聞かない、聞かない、聞か
Still
ない。
nothing? Well, I suppose.
聞きません、ボタンが。
I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out.
Eh?
Goodbye, Stanley.
マジか
You。couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more
ああ、
time
これまた、
than
まさ
you
か。
could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole. I get to do literally
戻
anything.
されるのか、俺はまた。
Take care, Stanley.
畜
I
生、
hope
や
you
られ
and
た
the
な。
hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
あれ終わんねえじゃないか。どうなのこれ。どこまでもメタフィクションで、メタ発言で、意地悪でうるさいゲームだな、これは。戻れってことか。自分で。あなんだおおなんだなんだ これどうなんのこれ。何を見せられてるんだ俺は。この穴を。まあ、エンディング、穴が好きすぎた男みたいな感じで終わるのかなこれは。じゃあこれいつまで続くのこれ。視点を変える。あ、そういうお前顔あったのか。お前顔あったんだね。これずっと続く感じ。もう意識を変える。別の人格人間へみたいな。アホくせえ。俺こういうねアホくさい表現大好き。そういうことね。認識を変えるね。はいはい。何をやらされてんだこれ。そういう。はいはいはいはい。ほんとしょうもないこれ。どういうこと。かわいい犬だ。かわいいかわいいかわいいかわいい。もうずっとこれ見てたいんだけど。かわいい。ラブラドルレトリバーかな。犬種はちょっとわかんないけど、まあ多分そう。かわいいな。でこれずっと見せられるの俺。そろそろ変えてみるか。なんかロボットになったぞ。なんでもありじゃないか。足がもう十分堪能したよ。戻してくれ。任天堂のミーみたいになってるじゃないか。紙粘土だ。なんだなんだ。お前がやらせたんだぞ。夢。
But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
マジで終わりなのこれは。じゃあ俺は何もさせてもらえないのか。これまたあれか。加工していくのか。戻された。
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
どういうことだってばよ。何なんだこのゲームは。わかんねえ。穴は試したが、あと何あれか。安心のバケツ。
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect...
俺どちらかっていうとこのナレーションさんの方がうざったいんだけどね。
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the
バケツ持ってる人間ってむしろマイナスイメージじゃないか。廊下に立たされてる的なさ。
All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
でどうするって終わりか。パソコンもつかないし。いや、帰ろうじゃあ。なんならなんか集める意味がないよって言われたフィギュアも本当に1個しかないみたいな。そういううざったい演出の1個っていう可能性がある。最も楽しめたバケツはあれだろ、スケボーゲームのあれだろ、タイトルは控えるけど。バグを使ってさ、キャラクターがバグってぶっ飛んでくゲーム。なんか向いてる方向変わってんね。え？ここで入手。これか。ん？これは？レバーを引く、実績を受け取る、これだけ。ああ、スチームストアのアーカイブか、実績機能みたいな。プレイステーションのトロフィー機能に近いものだよな。はい、引きます。引かせていただきます。回んねえじゃないか。
Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
終わんねえじゃないか、じゃあ。なんだこのゲームは。音量ミキサーがある。これもスタジオで見たな。なんでこんなものがこんな部屋に。誰も収録なんかやらないと思うが。どういうこと？これで終わりなのか、じゃあ。いたずら、テスト実績未達成。未達成っていうか、まあできねえっつってるからな、おっさんが。出るか、じゃあ。俺何をやらされているんだ。
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
終わったんだ。ほぼ無限の穴。ちゃんと名前が訂正されてる。訂正されてるけど。
Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's oh wait.
あ、例のやつか。
Spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle.
そうです。
Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
え？ああ、そうや、なんかジャンプやったな。あ、使い切ってるとダメなんだ。何あれ、継続なの？そんなことある？なるほど。これはなんだ？
Okay, I'll be honest.
ああ、展示館か。
I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday.
選べってか。
Which would you go with?
まあ俺青色が好きなんでね、青で。
You know, Sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted to get well someday.
うわー、くそぜ。どういうこと？終わり？終わりっぽいな。
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
実績はもう取れない。風船部屋はやった。んで帰ろうかな、じゃあ。もうこの社屋いる意味ないんだよな。もうとっとと帰ってよ。帰れねえ。わかったわかった。ザ・スタンリー・パラベル2はもう堪能したよ。俺のこと返してくれないか。あっちはまだ見てないな。なんだこの階段は。
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
まあ大体見たかな。前に進む準備はいい。このエリアまだ先があるのか。もう結構じゃないか。おう。
So Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
え？は？
I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement.
なるほど。
Yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
ああ、もういいよ。もういいよ。穴は分かったよ。
Who am I kidding,
もう
Stanley?
穴は十分堪能した
This
よ。
isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they wouldn't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original.
こういうゲームでも結局何が言いたいんだろうな、こういうメタフィクションばっかやって。多分そういうジョークゲームという位置づけだとは思うんで、真面目に考えるだけ無駄なんだろうけど。あ、俺がいる。遠くから俺が見える。
But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, this is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
わ始まりやがった。ゲームを始める。こっから始まんの？はい。何も変わってねえじゃねえか。しょうがないな。今なんか扉を閉められた。他の扉開くのかじゃあ。通れなくなってるし。あれ開かない。開いた。これどかせねえのか。
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference. Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
バケツ？バケツなんて。ああ、さっきの2のやつか。 拾わねえよ、もうあんな。拾ってどうすんだ。いや、でも気になるな。バケツなんてあったか？さっきのあれだろ俺、あ、これか。
Stanley picked up the bucket.
これか。何の意味があるかわかんないバケツ。左のドアへ入ってきました。右のドアに。右のドアに入るに決まってんだろ。
telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was.
いや、自販機が動いたのかと思ったぜ。
How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
ここは何になる？
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo. But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
バケツと麦真珠だぞ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
しょうがねえな、じゃあ、ちょっと行ってみるか。バケツだろ？
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him...
このゲームあれだな、周回プレイっつうかあれだな。ある特定のタイミングでずっと続いてるんだな。ループするように見せかけてるだけで。
The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
戻りゃあせん。
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
ほう。
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
バケツの言うこと聞こうが、おっさんの言うこと聞こうが、変わりはないんだけど。
In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here.
暗い部屋？
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
暗い部屋？どこだ？あれ明るいよな。ここではない。こっちか。暗っ。本当に暗いな、おい。うわ、電話だ。
Now pick up the phone, said the bucket. Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
はい。どうも、おいらです。お疲れ様です。
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
話を始めたって？ああ、もうこれ、ムービーじゃないんだ。あ、これ、あれだね。ザ・スタンリー・パラベル2の。じゃない。自宅かこれは。ああ、バケツと。僕を君と戻すために愛をして。
The Stanley Parable reassurance bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
ああ、職場にも持ってきてるよと。
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing
バケツより夜間の方が良くないか？夜間の方がさ、なんかよく使うというかさ、バケツって純粋に汚いじゃん。
Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it would
勝
ever
手に俺
truly
が
do
バ
for
ケツ
you
好き
is
な変態に
effectively
されちゃってるけ
transfer
ど
a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
はい。
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket.
バケツ
His
ガスコンロの上に
stupid
置いてんぞ。
metal.
どうすんだよこんなん。
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
まあ金属だしな。まあ光ることもあろうなって感じだけど。
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting
え、なに俺バケツと
like
の
it
ラ
would
ブ
be
ストー
better
リー
at
見せられ
moving
て
an
んの。
amount of water from one room to another.
右を押すとこの同じ日を何度も僕と繰り返せるよ。
Oh my god, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
なんで俺はこんなバケツに魅了されているんだ。
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No, no, no,
Oh.
no, 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 no. What's going on? Why do I want to be
寝
with the
室に
bucket?
バケツ持ち込んでるぞ
Hear
こ
what
い
the
つ
bucket has to say,
変態だ
do
ろ。
anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me
しかもこれあれじゃね？
in this troublesome
心
situation.
霊現象とかを
Stanley,
抑える
give me the bucket. Give it
ホー
to
リ
me.
ーキャンドル
Give me
的
the
な
bucket, Stanley. I need
最
it.
近
Give
エ
it
ク
to
ソ
me
シスト
now.
で
Give it or
見た
I'll-
けど、あ、終わった。最近エクソシストって映画を見てね、古い映画。もう50年ぐらい前の映画なんですけど、まあ、こんな感じの演出があったかなっていう。終わった。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
またバケツあるんじゃないだろう
Stanley
な。
decided to go to the meeting.
あるー
Perhaps he had
ある
seen
ー
this
でも
never
触りません。触んないでおきましょう。いや、バケツ持ったまま会議室へ行ったらなんかあるんじゃないか。
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the
こ
bucket's
れで
warmth
一
and
般
comfort
的
now
なエンディ
more
ン
than
グ
ever.
迎えたらどうなるんだろ
Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
う。まあ何もないよな。
Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs.
あ
to
の
the
物量が
boss's
バケツを
office.
求めていると。なるほど。なんだっけ、ここの番号2462とかだったっ
Into
けな。
his manager's office,
2482
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's
ああ、
desk.
これね。
Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the
24
keypad was 28.
あ、2845か。8、4、5。
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the
で、こっ
bucket
ちが開くん
knew
だっけ？
all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
バケツが俺を導いてることになるんだ
This is certainly the most logical explanation.
あ、
You found one of
あ、
One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for
全
getting
部
all
集めても報
these,
酬がない無駄
only
フィ
the
ギュアか。
intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
何やらされてんだろう。これでバケツと
The
愛を
elevator
添い遂げる
was
みたいな。
downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be
そういう
all
エンディン
Stanley
グに
could
なる
do
んだ
to
ろう
keep
か。
himself together, if not for the bucket, soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
おう。
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the
ああ、
large
こ
door
こま
that
では
led
普通なんだな。
mind
マインド
control
コントロール
facility.
施設なるものがあって、ここで脱出できてエンディング迎えてっていう。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
で、
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like
バケツの差分のセリフまであるんだ。同じルートなのに。
reassuring it that everything would be fine.
どういう作り込みなんだこれは。割くべきものがあっただろう。
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
なるほど。で、いつもの部屋に来て、
Here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls
ちょっと
labeled
待って
with
ください。一旦
emotions,
マイクチラつけていただき
or
ます。
sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a
は
really
い、
cool
戻り
way,
ましたと。
and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
どうするんだっけこれか。どっかになんか番号が書かれたやつがあったんだっけ。それを触っとなんか進んだような気がしなくもないが。あ、これか。このゲームね、やってると眠くなってくるんですよね。おっさんのささやき声がなんか子守歌みたいに聞こえてね、うとうとしてくるというか。
To put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy,
これは
freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away.
バケツとともに
Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind
脱
of
出
life
で
they
きま
would
したよみたいな、
once
そう
they
いうエン
stepped
ディングにな
through
るん
this
だ。
massive door.
これからの
The
未来
bucket
に。
wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and...
Nani?
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped?
What's
Was
happened?
Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
バケツから離れようとしない。
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it.
嘘じゃん。
Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have
これあ
my
れなんだ
bucket
な。
with me,
アメリカ
I'll
流
be okay, won't I?
シュールギャグなんだろうな、多分な。
Very soon now.
ちょっと俺には理解できないか
I'll
な。
find out.
いや、なんていうか、理解はできるんだけど、笑うことはできないかな。一番面白かったのは、バケツ持ってさ、家に帰ってベッドの上にバケツ置いてるやつだったけど。
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
そ
simply
れ
missed
バ
a
ケツを
memo.
持ってるとデスイベントになっちゃうんだな。新イベントは起きないと。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
うわ
The
ぁ。
lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
左側のドア、これか。
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
これもなんか変わんのかね。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no. No, it's to the right. My mistake.
で間違えるんだな、また。
No,
はい。
no, no,
で、
no.
真ん中が出るんだよね。
Why would I have ever said it was to the right?
そうこれだな。
What was
これ
I
が動くんだ。
thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely
Hi.
this way.
ああ、またこれね。
No, 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 no. This isn't right at all.
で、ネタバレはダメだっつってまた戻されるんだっけ、これ。
Spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
戻された。なるほどね。こういうゲームなんだ。であれば、まあ今日そんな長くやるつもりなかったんでね、そろそろ終わろうかなと思ってんだけど、まあいろいろ見れたいものを見ることできたし、あと11時から見たい放送があるので、それに合わせてもうそろそろ寝ようかなって感じですね。お？この続編なんだ。これどうなの？あ、スタンリー・パラベルのままだ。じゃない、スタンリー・パラベル2のままだ。なるほどね。終わるか。はい、というわけで、ちょっと急遽終わらせていただきました。なんだろうね。ちょっといろいろ言いたいことはあるけれど、今日はこれでおしまいでございます。この後アーマードコア6の公式の生放送があるので、じゃないな、配信があるので、それを見たいなっていうのもあって、今日は早々に引き上げさせていただきますので、また次回あれば、多分次回は別のゲームをやってると思います。よろしくお願いいたします。ではまた。